welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Joy Sunis. Today our issue in focus is the economy, and joining me on set to talk about trees make sense for business is John Kelly. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yes, absolutely. First off, thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure.
I recently graduated last fall from the University of Iowa with a degree in American environmental history, and I wrote my master's on the implementation of scientific forestry in the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest here in Colorado. And so I really got some great background knowledge on urban forestry and scientific forestry. And so I've been working with IES, the Institute for Environmental Solutions, since June of this year.
Well, congratulations.
2014.
And I understand you live among all those trees in the evergreen area too.
I do, yes.
So it's good to write your thesis, right, on where you want to live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead and shift a little bit into our conversation. You know, consumers base a lot when they're out shopping, especially on their surroundings. And, you know, it's hard to believe something as simple as a tree can make a difference in a business's success or failure. So let's talk about that. And when we're talking about sense, we're talking about C-E-N-T-S here. So first, if you'll talk to me a little bit about how trees can impact a community when there's a lack of their presence.
Certainly, absolutely. Trees can actually affect a community economically on three levels, both for the individual consumer, the business level, and then also kind of the township or city as well. For regular consumers, a lack of trees could mean higher energy costs around their house, less aesthetically pleasing areas for them to interact with in their township or with businesses. Businesses really, when it comes to what they're missing when they're lacking trees, is really can also be energy costs, but it's also missing out on potential consumers, and it's also missing out on potentially getting back the consumers that come in. On a wider level for a town or city, you're looking at missing out on spaces where people can interact with each other socially. You're looking out and you're really looking at a decrease in home values as well as retail values, and so that can hurt tax revenues for a city in general.
Sure. Okay, so I'm flipping the coin here. So now we're going to talk about the other side, how the impact of trees when they are present with businesses.
Well, really it
Some
comes...
of the negative impacts.
Certainly, yes. It really comes down to the cost of having trees on a property. Obviously, implementing some type of program where you can plant trees, it can be very cost consuming for a company who has maybe slight margins or doesn't have the profit base to implement a type of program. It's a very tough thing to try to get more trees onto your property. There's also the costs of maintaining your property as well, both with watering trees and also with cleanups after storms, or in the fall if the leaves start to fall off, then you have to have someone come to pick them all up, or you yourself have to go out, which wastes man hours out of your business. There's also the potential that having trees on your property could mess with the energy costs. Trees shade in the summertime, which could help, but they also block sun's rays from coming in during the winter time, which stops heating from happening. And so with a larger building, you may run into problems with heating in the winter.
Is there any other reason why a business may opt out on urban forestry?
Certainly, yes. There's obviously the costs about it's a choice for a business, and if they don't have the proper margins, or perhaps they don't think they're going to be in a space for a long time, they could very easily opt out of trying to have trees, implementing them, or even maintaining trees on their property. There's also zoning laws within each community, which makes planting trees in certain areas illegal because of power lines, water lines. The roots from trees can get down and they could break apart those lines, and it could cause a lot of problems for the inner workings of the building and the infrastructure. There's also, on a level between just the individual who is renting out the space and the owner, or if they're the owner of the building, it's the cost of implementing could be an argument between who owns the building and someone who's renting it out. You know, the business who's renting it may want to implement it, but they may not have the money, or their landlord may not want them to implement anything at all.
So when you see a tree sale on the side of the road, you really have to think that through before investing in that tree and planting it on the property.
Certainly, certainly.
Zoning issues, does that become a problem too?
It can be. In a lot of places, businesses are very careful when they start to look into this stuff. You know, they run a lot of cost-benefit analysis, and they also look at, you know, the type of legal ramifications that they could run into by planting trees. And so it certainly can be a problem, but as long as the business is careful about it, should be okay.
And so we're talking about economy here. So how can the lack of knowledge about urban forest affect businesses?
Certainly. It can affect their own profit margins by energy costs, as we've talked about before. They could be wasting money on cooling their buildings. They really could be.
Right.
They could also be losing customers. I'll explain in the later section when we talk more about solutions, customers' mindsets and how business can improve that. But honestly, if you don't have some trees or some other type of green shrubbery, anything like that, it could turn customers off, and you could be losing part of your customer base to another business just because they have a couple trees outside and the person feels a better connection with it. There's also studies out that show that having trees on your property can improve workplace morale. People who are having a bad day or feel tired can look outside, they see trees, they see green, it kind of gives them pep up and energy, and so they can, it helps improve that morale as well. So.
Well, you mentioned solution just a few seconds ago, so let's go ahead and transition into the presence of urban forests and how they do provide opportunities for economical benefits, not only to the ecology, but also to our economy. And so how do trees make sense? And that's the C-E-N-T-S, sense.
Certainly, yeah. And I'll go back and I'll describe it on the levels that I talked about previously. Personally, it can put more money into the pockets of the consumers. A tree on a property can provide enough cooling for a house as 10 single-room air conditioners at peak temperature during the day. So they can really help a lot with your energy costs, put more money into your pocket. Also, on personal property, a 5% increase in canopy cover can actually cool down your property from between about 1/3 of a degree to almost 2 degrees at peak temperature. So really you're just getting natural cooling without having to do much besides having a tree in your yard, which is aesthetically pleasing and nice to look at. For businesses, it can really help them obviously with their energy costs, but it can also bring in new consumers for them. It can help have a better environment for people to interact in and to interact with. On the really city level, it helps because it increases the value of homes, it increases the value of tax revenues from these homes, which in turn can increase community health in general. It also can give spaces where you can put on festivals, you can put on fundraising opportunities for the cities or organizations within the cities, which is nice. And really they just provide areas for people to become more involved and like their community better. And if people enjoy spending time in their own community, then their money will go back into the community rather than outside of it.
We do like our curb appeal. And a good neighborhood often is showered with that canopy cover you just spoke of, and that's the presence of our trees. So how can trees affect consumers? What has research shown?
Research shown really to affect the consumers. It's interesting. There's studies out there that show that consumers are more likely to spend more, and they're more likely to spend more time in places where there's trees. So for example, consumers in small towns say that they will spend 9% more on an equal product just because that store has a tree outside of it. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And in a city, it actually jumps up to 12%. They're willing to pay 12% more for the same product. Further studies show that you can actually get people to drive farther to attend places that have trees and have this kind of more natural feel to it, which means that businesses that take the time can set up areas outside of their business, set up trees, set up benches, make it a real social experience.
Yes.
Is what people really like. People like to go out on the weekends. They like to go out with their families. They like to go shopping, you know. And if a company can really think about it and include trees and include green as part of that structure, they can really draw more people in, make that environment better, and they'll have customers that choose to come back. They'll have a bigger customer base, and they'll have customers spend more time at their store. And that's important when it comes to raising profits.
Oh, because of trees.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a really easy solution for the economy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your employer,
Certainly.
IES, and what you are doing to connect urban forestries and local education together.
Well, as an organization, we feel that local education is very important. We view urban forestry as a way to get kids out and to actually interact with their environment. You know, we believe that while going into the classroom and helping children is important, but it's even better to get them out and participating with their hands-on. We give them a unique opportunity, especially with our last program that we implemented in the spring of this year in the Wheat Ridge Greenbelt, which we called Preserve the Greenbelt. We went in with 2 elementary schools in Wheat Ridge and taught 2 in-class workshops and all about ecological health and balance and why trees are important for those reasons. And then we actually brought them out into the Greenbelt and had a planting day there. All got to plant their trees. They got to name their own trees to build a connection with it. And then they had a great nature walk with a local forester that taught them a little bit more about the ecology and got them to experience it hands-on. And a very nice arts and crafts day as well.
That sounds so exciting, and they got their hands dirty too.
Yeah, got them out and working. It was a good thing.
So what is the Institute of Environmental Solutions doing to improve our communities using tree science?
Using tree science, yeah, absolutely. So, we've implemented 4 successful programs in the last 4 years, and each one of them focuses on community health, the economy, and education as well. We believe that all 3 is the way to improve overall community health. So, for example, in 2011, we partnered with the City of Golden and implemented a program where we took students from Mitchell Elementary School and we helped them build a natural barrier between their playground and Highway 93, which helped with noise pollution and sound pollution. And also, it helped the kids because they were able to play longer outside. They weren't as scared of having the highway right there. It helped with their schooling because of the sound and noise pollution. And really, when IES focuses their main mission of bringing sound scientific practices to these areas through green infrastructure, we always look to help the community at large, as we believe that improving little things, even if it's just a barrier on a highway or before helping the Greenbelt, provides the spaces for people to enjoy their community more. It builds community camaraderie and improves the community at large. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds pretty exciting. Okay, just have probably maybe 30 seconds left. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, yeah, just that we can use trees for so many things, and if you can importantly take the time to research what trees should go where, they can really improve just about every portion of our lives, from the economy to the community at large. And really, we have a unique opportunity in Colorado to do so, and we hope that IES can continue to help any community that would like to have us help them.
Excellent. John Kelly, thank you so much for joining
Thank
me
you.
on Join Our Town and also making us understand trees make sense for businesses.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us too.